The bizarre, dystopic madness of the modern U.S. economy. As inflation has hit, an alarming percentage of U.S. workers are considering or are adding side hustles and second jobs on top of the millions already holding down multiple jobs to make ends meet. Surprisingly, this can make the labor shortage worse. Step back for a second and consider that these workers are filling more than one position, and that because they are part-time positions, there are more jobs being offered and filled to complete labor needs. And headline unemployment is under 4%, while the broader measure of U6 is at 7%. Gig, temp, and part-time work are the consequences of more than a generation of corporate policy that devalues employees. We've become built around temporary and outsourced work, while positions listed as full-time often don't provide 40 hours because of policies of companies like Amazon or Starbucks to deny the hours to qualify for full-time benefits. Headline unemployment also masks a lot of the unemployed. This is the consequence of the 1994 BLS redefinition of long-term discouraged workers. These are the people that have been out of work for a year or more. The BLS effectively wrote them out of existence. Shadowstats has estimated unemployment statistics using those pre-1994 definitions for years, and it places U6 at 25%. This is done by including an estimate of those long-term unemployed back into U6. The redefinition had two main effects. First, it made the U.S. unemployment numbers look much better compared to, say, the EU, and it also had the effect of motivating the Fed to keep interest rates a bit higher. We have metrics that ignore sideline workers, and we have corporate policy that strips employees of disposable income and who are now under inflation pressure and need to ask for higher wages. And there's small and medium businesses that have to deal with both inflation-driven wage pressures and declining disposable incomes. All this is despite evidence and some commentary that higher wages increases business profits overall. But no one company generally will be willing to do so. It has a feel of a tragedy of the commons, a problem that the market will not solve unless workers have more bargaining power. Actions of the Fed. The Fed has bumped interest rates in an effort to tame inflation and drive up unemployment in a population already unable to make ends meet. But the top 30% income bracket is what generates 60% of all consumption. So interest rates will get to burrow their way through the bottom 70% first, and most acutely affecting those that are already holding down multiple jobs, to finally get to the 30% who are still spending with abandon. If the economy does slow down, employers might cut jobs, or they might cut full-time positions. Can you see a little bit of a problem here? More part-time positions will seem like job demand is growing. And unless demand drops in that top 30%, inflation driven by them won't subside. In the face of a tight labor market, wages have crept up by 5%, and inflation has gone up by 8%.
According to this chart, what is the biggest driver of inflation during the pandemic? The dark blue is the recent period.
It would be corporate profits.
And what is that percentage?
It is 54%, and that number does stay that level of high if you update that number to more recent numbers as well.
So over half of the increased prices people are paying are coming from increases in corporate profits.
Yes.
Interest rates rise and business and labor suffers. But does it really address profiteering? And if it does, at what cost and to whom? The Fed looks at inflation and at employment numbers in a very particular way, and it has this one big hammer to manage the economy. Small and medium businesses should reconsider where their interests lie and with whom they align. High rent, high food prices, healthcare costs, and student debt, and large employers dominating wages and benefits all work against employees and also against small and medium businesses. You might want to consider that the next time you listen to the news and to talking heads. In the face of global inflation and profiteering, workers and local businesses can help themselves by supporting non-market housing entities, which keep living costs in check.
Olympic Village is your classic Vancouver neighborhood. Seawall? Check. Outdoor athletic store? Check. Big boxy glass buildings? Check. And crazy expensive housing? Oh, you better believe that's a big check. Renting an Olympic Village is not cheap. For example, a 2-bedroom apartment in that building behind me will cost you $4,200 a month. A 2-bedroom in this building, $5,000 a month. A 2-bedroom unit in this building rents for $4,500 a month. And just across the street, a 2-bedroom unit in that building rents for $1,900. How's that possible? Who's behind this? And could that be the subject of this video?
Urbanization is going to keep growing at a tremendous rate, and so we're really going to need to look at how do we build in a manner that's livable, it's affordable.
There is somewhere, though, that seems to be keeping the housing crisis at bay. The Austrian capital, Vienna, is one of the most affordable major cities in the world. It also tops the charts for quality of life. And how they got there may offer up some tips for cities globally.
Charles, on the other hand, was braver, more patriotic, and maybe crazier, depending on the way you look at it. He realized there were places in America that were not broken, places that had built wealth and prosperity and that could do it again. The downtowns, the main streets, the streetcar suburbs of the early 20th century. These were places that had good bones and could be built upon to rebuild American cities.
It took decades for corporate America to reduce us to this state, but it will take time for us to dig ourselves out of the hole they put us in. But if we don't take action, we can only end up in far worse shape